The complete work of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 6, Section 1. Introduction to Jnana Yoga. This is the rational and philosophical side of yoga and very difficult, but I will take you slowly through it. Yoga means the method of joining man and God. When you understand this, you can go on with your own definition of man and God, and you will find the term yoga fits in with every definition. Remember always, there are different yogas for different minds, and that if one does not suits you, another may. All religions are divided into theory and practical. The Western mind has given itself up to the theory and only sees the practical part of religion has good work. Yoga is a practical part of religion and shows that religion is a practical power apart from good works. At the beginning of the 19th century, men tried to find God through reasons, and deism was the result. What little was left of God by this process was destroyed by Darwinism and Milism. Men were then thrown back upon historical and comparative religion. They thought religion was derived from element worship. See Max Muller on the sun, might, etc. Others thought that religion was derived from the ancestor worship. See Herbert Spencer. But taken as a whole, this method was proved a failure. Men cannot get a truth by external methods. If I know one lump of clay, I know the whole mass of the clay. The universe is all built on the same plane. The individual is the only part, like a lump of a clay. If you know a human soul, which is one atom, its beginning and his general history, we know the whole nature. Birth, growth, development, decay, death. This is the sequence in all nature and is the same in the plants and animals. The difference is only in time. The whole cycle may be completed in one case in a day, in the other in the three score years and 10. The methods are the same. The only way to reach a sure analysis of the universe is by the analysis of our own minds. A proper psychology is essential to the understanding of religion. To reach truth by reason alone is impossible because imperfect reason cannot study its own fundamental basis. Therefore, the only way to study the mind is to get at facts, and then intellect will arrange them and deduce this principle. The intellect has to build the house, but it cannot do so without bricks, and it cannot make bricks. Jnana Yoga is the surest way of arriving at facts. First, we have to physiology. First, we have the physiology of mind. We have organs of the senses, which are divided into organs of actions and organs of perception. By organs, I do not mean the external sense instruments. The ophthalmic center in the brain is the origin the ophthalmic center in the brain is the organ of sight, not the eye alone. So, with every organ, this function is internal. Only when the mind reacts is the object truly perceived. The sensory and the motor nerves are necessary to perception. Then there is a mind itself. It is like a smooth lake which, when struck, say, by a stone vibration, the vibration gather together and react on the stone, and all through the lake they will spread and be felt. The mind is like the lake. It is constantly being set in vibration, which leave an impression on the mind. And the idea of ego or personal self, the I, is the result of these impressions. This I, therefore, is only the very rapid transmission of force and is in itself no reality. The mind stuff is a very fine material instrument used for taking up the prana. When the man dies, the body dies, but a little bit of mind, the seed, is left when all else is shattered, and this is the seed of new body called by Saint Paul the spiritual body. This theory is this theory of the materiality of the mind accords with all modern theories. The idiot is lacking in intelligence because his mind stuff is injured. Intelligence cannot be immaterial, nor can it be produced by any combination of matter. Then where is intelligence? Then where is this intelligence? It is been matter. It is been behind matter. It is the jiva, the real self, working through the instrument of matter. Transmission of force is not possible without matter, as the jiva cannot travel alone. Some part of the mind is left as the transmitting medium when all else is shattered by death. How are perception made? How are perceptions made? The wall opposite sends an impression to me, but I do not see the wall until my mind reacts. That is to say, the mind cannot know the wall by mere sight. The reaction that enables the mind to get a perception of the wall is an intellectual process. In this way, the whole universe is seen through our eyes plus mind or perceptive faculty. It is necessarily colored by our own individual tendencies. Or the unknowable, the real wall or the real universe is outside the mind and is unknown and unknowable. Call the universe X, and our statement is that the seen universe is X plus mind. What is true of the external must also apply to the internal world. Mind also wants to know itself, but this self can only be known through the medium of the mind and is like the wall, unknown. This self we may call Y, and the statement could would then be Y plus mind is the inner self. Kant what the first to arrive at this analysis of mind. Kant was the first to arrive at this analysis of mind, but it was a long ago stated in the Vedas. We have thus, as it were, mind standing between x and y and reacting on both. If x is unknown, then any qualities we give to it are only derived from our own mind. Time, space, and causation are the three conditions through which mind perceives. Time is the condition for the transmission of thought, and space for vibration of grosser matter. Causation is the sequence in which vibration come. Mind can only cognize through this. Anything, therefore, beyond mind must be beyond time, space, and causation. To the blind man, the world is perceived by touch and sound. To us, with all five senses, plus the mind, it is another world. It can, if any of us develop an electric sense, if any of us can develop an electric sense and the faculty of seeing electric waves, the world would appear different. At the world has the X to all of this is still the same. As each one brings his own mind, he sees his own world. There is x plus one sense, x plus two senses, up to five, as we know humanity. The result is constantly variant. Yet, y remains always unchangeable. Y is also beyond our mind and beyond time, space, and causation. But you may ask, how do we know there are two things? That is, x and y beyond time, space, and causation. Quite true. Time makes differentiation, so that as both are really beyond time, they must be really one. When mind sees this one is calling it variously X, when it is the outside world, and Y when it is the inside world. This unite exists and is looked at through the lens of minds. The being of perfect nature, universally appearing to us, is God, is absolute. The undifferentiated is the perfect condition. All others must be lower and not permanent. What makes the undifferentiated appear differentiated to mind? This is the same kind of question as what is origin of evil and free will. The question itself is contradictory and impossible because the question takes for granted cause and effect. There is no cause and effect in the undifferentiated. The question assumes that undifferentiated is in the same condition as the differentiated. Whys and wherefores are in the mind only. The self is beyond causation and it alone is free. Its light, it is which percolates through every form of mind. With every action, I assert I am free, and yet every action proves that I am bound. The real self is free, and yet, when mixed with mind and body, it is not free. The will is the first manifestation of the real self. The first limitation before of this real self is the will. Will is a compound Will is a compound of self and mind. Now, no compound can be permanent, so that when we will to live, we must die. Immortal life is the contradiction in terms for life, being a compound for life, being a compound and cannot be immoral. True being is undifferentiated and eternal. How does this perfect being becomes mixed up with will, mind, and thought, all defective things? It never has become mixed. You are the real you. You are the real you, the why of our former statement. You never will. You never will. You never have changed. You as a person never exist. It is illusion. Then, on what you will say do the phenomena of illusion rest? This is a bad question. Illusion never rests on truth, but only on illusion. Everything struggles to go back to what was before this illusion. To be free, in fact, what then is the value of life? It is to give us experiences. Does this view do away does this view do away with evolution? On the contrary, it explains it. It is really the process of refine, refinement of matter, allowing the real self to manifest itself. It is as if the screen or a while. It is as if a screen or a while were between us and some other objects were between us and some other object. The object becomes real as the screen is gradually withdrawn. The question is simply one of the manifestation of the higher self. The question is simply one of manifestation of the higher self. Next, the Vedant philosophy and Christianity. Notes of the lecture delivered at the Unitarian Church in Oakland, California on February 28, 1900. Between all general religion of the world, there are many points of similarities, and so startling is this likeness at the times as to suggest the idea that in many particulars the different religions have copied from one another. This act of imitation has been laid at the door of the different religions, but that it is a superficial change in the evident from the following facts. Religion is fundamental in the very soul of humanity, and has all life is the evolution of that which is within it of necessity expresses itself through the various peoples and nations. The language of the soul is one, the language of the nation are many. Their customs and methods of life are widely different. Religion is of the soul and finds expression through various nations, languages, and customs. Hence, it follows that the difference between the religion of the world is one of expression are and not of the soul, are intrinsic, as the language of soul is one. In whatever people and under whatever circumstances it manifests itself. The same sweet harmony is vibrant there also, as it is on many and diverse instruments. The first thing is common in all great religions of the world is possession of an authentic book. When religious systems have failed to have such a book, they have become extinct. Such was the fact of the religion of Egypt. The authentic book is the heartstone, so to speak, of each great religious system, around which around which its adherent gather and from which radiates the energy and life of the system. Each religion again lays the claim that its particular book is the only authentic word of God, that all other sacred books are false and are impossible or imposing upon poor human credulity, and that to follow another religion is to be ignorant and spiritually blind. Such bigotry is characteristic of the orthodox element of all religions. For instance, the orthodox followers of Vedas claim that Vedas are the only authentic word of the God in the world, that God has spoken to the world only through the Vedas. Not only that, but the world itself exists by virtues of Vedas. Before the world was, the Vedas were. Before the world was. Before the world was, the Vedas were. Everything in the world exists because it is in the Vedas. A cow exists because the name of cow is there in the Vedas. That is because the animal we know has a cow is mentioned in the Vedas. The language of the Vedas is the original language of God. All other languages are mere dialects and not of God. Every word and syllables, every word and syllable in the Vedas must be pronounced correctly. Each sound must be given its true vibration. Every departure from this rigid exactness is a terrible sin and unpardonable. Thus, this kind of bigotry is predominant in the orthodox system or orthodox element of the religion. But this fighting over the latter is indulged in only by the ignorant, the spiritually blind. All who have actually attained any real religious nature, never wrangle over the form in which the different religions are expressed. They know that the life of all religion is the same, and consequently, they have no quarrel with another or anybody because he does not speak the same tongue. The Vedas are, in fact, the oldest sacred book in the world. Nobody knows anything about the time when they were written or by whom they were written. They are contained in many volumes, and I doubt that any one man ever read them all. The religion of the Vedas is the religion of the Hindus and the foundation of an all Oriental religions. That is all. All other Oriental religion are offshoots of the Vedas. All Eastern system of religion have the Vedas as authority. It is an irrational claim to believe in the teachings of the Jesus Christ and at the same time to hold that the greater part of his teachings have no application at the present time. If you say that the reason why the powers do not follow them, that believe, as Christ said they would, is because you have not faith and are not pure enough. That will be all right. But to say that they have no applications at the present time is to be ridiculous. I have never seen the man who was not at least my equal. I have traveled all over the world. I have been among the very hard or very worst kind of people among animals, and I have never seen the man who is not at least my equal. I have done as they do when I was a fool. Then I did not know. Then I did not know any better. Now I do. Now they do not know any better. And after a while, they will. Everyone acts according to his own nature. We are all in process of growth. From this standpoint, one man is not better than another. Next, worshipper and worshipped. Lecture delivered in San Francisco era, April 9, 1900. We have been taking up the most analytical side of the human nature. In this course, we shall study the emotional side. The former deals with man as unlimited being, has principle, the latter with man has limited being. The one has no time to stop for a new or few teardrops or pangs. The other cannot proceed without whipping the teardrops or wiping the teardrops without healing the misery. One is great, so great and grand that something we are strangled by the magnitude. The other commonplace. The other is commonplace and at most beautiful and dear to us. One gets hold of us, takes us up to the heights where our lungs almost burst. We cannot breathe in that atmosphere. The other leaves us where we are and tries to see the object of life, takes the limited view. One will accept nothing until it has seal of reason, and the other has faith, and it cannot what it cannot see, it believes. Both are necessary. A bird cannot fly without or with only one wing. What we want is to see the man who is harmoniously developed, great in heart, great in mind, great in deed. We want a man whose heart feels intensely the misery and sorrow of the world. And we want the man who not only can feel but can find the meaning of not only can feel but find the meaning of things, who dwells depends who deals dependently into the heart of nature and understanding. We want a man who will not even stop there, but who want to work out the feeling and the meaning by actual deeds. Such a combination of head, heart, and hand is what we want. There are many teachers in this world, but you will find that most of them are one sided. One sees the glorious midday sun of intellect and sees nothing else. Another hears the beautiful music of love and can hear nothing else. Another is immersed in activity and has neither time to feel nor time to think. Why not have the giant who is equally active, equally knowing, and equally loving? Is it impossible? Certainly not. This is the man of future of whom there are only a few at present. The number of such will increase until the whole world is humanized. I have been talking to you so long about intellect and reasons. We have heard the whole of Vedant. The wheel of Maya breaks, wintry clouds vanish, and the sun shines on us. I have been trying to climb the heights of the Himalayas, where the peak disappears beyond the cloud. I propose to study with you the other side, the most beautiful valley, the most marvelous exquisiteness of nature or in nature. We shall study the love that holds us here in spite of all the miseries of the world, the love that has made us forge the chain of misery, this eternal martyrdom which man is suffering willingly of his own accord. We want to study that for which man has forgotten the chain with his own hands, that for which he suffers the eternal love. We do not mean to forget the other. The glaciers of the Himalaya must join hands with the rice field of the Kashmir. The thunderbolts must blend its bass note with the rambling of the bird. This course will have to do with everything exquisite, exquisite and beautiful. Worship is everywhere, in every soul. Everyone worships God, whatever be the name. They are all worshipping God. The beginning of worship, like the beautiful lotus, like life itself, are in the dirt of the earth. There is the element of fear. There is the hungering for his world's gain. There is a worship of a beggar. These are the beginning of the world's worshipping, culminating culminating in loving God and worshipping God through man. Is there any God? Is there anyone to be loved? Any such one capable of being loved? Loving the stone would not be much good. We only love that which understands love, that which draw our love. So with worship, never say that there is a man in this world of ours who worshipped a piece of stone as stone. He always worships the omnipresent being in the stone. We find out that the omnipresent being is in us. But how can we worship unless that being is separate from us? I can only worship thy and not me. I can only pray to thy and not me. Is there any thou? The only beyond becomes the one becomes many. When we when we see the one, any limitation reflected through the Maya disappears. But it is quite true that the manifold is most valueless, is not valueless. It is through the many that we reach the one. Is there any personal God? A God who thinks, who understands, a God who guides us? There is. The impersonal God cannot have any one of these attributes. Each one of you is an individual. You think, you love, you hate, you are angry, you are sorry, etc. Yet you are impersonal, unlimited. You are personal and impersonal in one. You have the personal and impersonal aspect. The impersonal reality cannot be angry, nor miserable, cannot even think misery. It cannot think, cannot know. It is knowledge itself, but the personal aspect knows, thinks, dies, etc. Naturally, the universal absolute must have two aspects. The one resting the infinite reality of all things. The other, the personal aspect, the soul of our souls, Lord of our lords. And it is He who creates this universe. Under His guidance, this universe exists. He, the infinite, the ever pure and ever free, he is no judge. God cannot be a judge. He does not upon he does not sits upon he does not sits upon a throne and judge between the good and the wicked. He is no magister, no general, nor master. Infinitely merciful, infinitely loving in the personal God. Is the personal God. Take it from another side. Every cell is in your body has a soul conscious of a cell. It is separate entity. It has a little will of its own, a little sphere of action of its own. All cells combined makes up an individual. In the same way, the personal God of the universe is made up of all these many individuals. Take it from another way or another side. You has I see you. You has I see you are as much of your absolute nature has been limited and perceived by one. I have limited you in order to see you. As my eyes can see, I see. As much of you as my mind can grasp is what I know to be you, and nothing more. In the same way, I am reading the absolute, impersonal, the impersonal, and he see him as personal. As long as we know or we have body and mind, we always see this tune being. God, nature, soul. There must always be three in one. In separate, there is nature. There are human souls. There is again that in which nature and human soul are contained. The universal soul has become embodied. My soul itself is a part of God. He is the eye of our eyes, the life of our life, mind of our mind, soul of our soul. This is the highest idea of the personal God we can have. If you have, or if you are not a dualist but are a monist, you can still have the personal God. There is one without a second, the one wanting to love himself. Therefore, out of that one, he made many. It is a big me, real me. That that little me is worshipped. Thus, in all systems, you can have the personal God. Some people are born under circumstances that makes them happier than others. Why should this be in the reign of a just being? There is mortality in this world. There, these are the these are the difficulties in the way. These problems have never been answered. They cannot be answered from any dualistic plane. We have to go back to philosophy to treat things as they are. We are suffering from our own karma. It is not the fault of God. What we do is our own fault, nothing else. Why should God be blamed? Why should God be blamed?